when it comes to what we're getting into today, and it's going to be testing an MC pitching wedge, a 770 pitching wedge, or do you get into this rather beautiful looking thing, which is the MG4 48 standard bounce 9. Let's get going. Why are we asking ourselves the question if we want to change our pitching wedge? If you're a 770 user, this is a golf club that is fantastic. Obviously, as you get down into the wedges, the flighted CG changes through the set, meaning that you can launch this pitching wedge in the window that you want to launch it in. Compared to the mill grind 4, it's big. Or if you are loving your mill grind wedges, maybe you're starting to ask yourself the question, should I be going into a mill grind pitching wedge? Now you might have an MC like I have, which has been very good to me, and I play the set wedge. I'm going to tell you the reasons I do that, and then you can make the decisions yourself. Pitching wedge is 47 degrees of loft for me in this MC. I've gone straight to the bending machine. I can guarantee you this 770 started life at 46. It's now 47. That is important. Each degree of loft is going to give you about 3 paces of carry. And I'll be honest, I'm not going to walk back down and change the lie angle. This thing looks really flat in the lie angle, so we might see it leak to the right, but this came out at 48. So I've moved this mill grind 4 to 47 degrees. Other things you've got to look at are design. Perimeter weighting in the MC. We know the 770 has techers in it when it comes to flighted CG. This is more of your raw, what you're going to get. Yes, the face is raw. Yes, it's got the spin treads on it, so it's going to spin more. But now you've got more real estate across the back. You better not be missing the middle when it comes to this. When you lay them down against each other, you can see here in the hosel that the hosel is longer on the mill grind 4 than the other two. This is where you're going to get your feel from. So you're going to get more feedback, you're going to get more feel when it just comes to those little chip shots that you might want to play out there with this mill grind 4. That's going to give you more feel. But as I look down at it from me to you guys, look at how thin, and I'll slide that one the other side of our MC, look at how skinny the sole is from back to front. So we're going to start with some full shots. I'm going to lay out some spin numbers, I'm going to lay out some carry numbers, and you're going to be looking at this thinking, okay, now I see what he's talking about. Yes, the lie angle's a little flat, but let's just put out a nice, cushy pitching wedge. So this is a 47 mill grind 4, and this is what you're going to see when it comes to these numbers. So, not much turf interaction. Went through the turf pretty easy. We will take the averages. That was 115. Can I pump it further than that? Maybe, but we're not trying to achieve that. It was 9,900, 10,000 spin. So that's a good number for a pitching wedge. So again, let's just see if we can put another one on top of it. Maybe strike it a hair better, because you're not going to have room for movement in these. So a little bit deeper into the turf. That was a nice strike. I bet that's going to go similar yardage looking at it. We can see 117, we don't need to lay a third one down. 117, 10,800, loads and loads of spin, and that is what you're gonna see, an absolute mountain of spin, and 24 on the launch. I've talked to you before in these videos, you wanna be launching your wedges and your whole set if you can, other than drivers, that's a different deal. We'll look at another video for that. But half of the loft on the blade, if you can start to do that, you're starting to get some consistency in your life. I'm gonna jump to MC next. This is my gamer. If I was getting similar numbers to that, I'd be quite happy, to be honest. I wouldn't probably play, or I haven't played the mill grind 4 because I felt it went a bit shorter. So we'll see, but that's based on spin rate as well. So let's go same target, same type of swing, put down the pitching wedge. Cleaner golf shot, almost identical to the very first shot we hit. So that gave us what, a 112 number, 115, that's gone 117, spin down at 9,300. Good golf shot, it's almost going to be exactly the same. 23.6 on the launch, it launched a hair lower and gave me 117 again. I called it, said it would almost be exactly the same. Didn't spin as much, 9,917. So 2 shots with this have not spin as much. Now I said to you, I can feel the breeze. I said that, my subconscious was getting it. If you hit mill grind 4 and it's got more spin on it, it's then going to stall out a bit more. So that is something you're gonna have to control. You've got to keep an eye on that. Anytime you gain spin, yes, you gain control, but with a pitching wedge, you might not want all that. You might want to take spin off. It's easier to take it off than it is to add it. So then there's an advantage to have the mill grind 4. When you get jumpers out the rough, it comes because the ball isn't spinning. And the ball isn't spinning because it's hit higher in the blade. Now remember, this 770 has the flighted CG to control that. Straight away, it's a bigger golf club. But if I'm playing on firm turf like an open championship venue or somewhere that's burnt out in the summer, I might not want all of that large sole in my pitching wedge. But unless you move the loft of this to make it a fair fight back to 47, which is what these all are, you're never going to have the right scenario. And if you move your pitching wedge, guess what? You've got to move your 9, and then you've got to move your 8. So you can't just throw a mill grind 4 in, cruise off down a fairway and go, yeah, we got all this sorted. You're going to open up a whole can of worms. So let's just see though, which I think is going to put a few things to rest here. We've had very consistent 117s at the MC. We've had a 115, a 117 out of the mill grind 4. Let's see how far this goes. This is just going to be a nice cruisy 770. Through the turf well. I mean, I think that you're going to see maybe even shorter. That was hit pretty good. 10,256 spin. So it is in the same realm. You want, when it comes to spin on your wedges, think about your 9 iron, you'd take 9,000 spin. 10 iron would be pitching wedge. You then want 10,000 spin. Tiger, Colin, they border on wanting more spin than that. But for me, and you guys out there, with my speed, if your speed changes, that's when you want a different launch. That launched at 24.8, it went 114 and it had 10,256 spin. That to me is kind of putting things to rest here because that was spinny and club was delivered pretty well. Let's go one more. Beautiful strike. Tons of spin on that, look. Very consistent, 11,000 spin. That was our most spinny one. I hit that crispy though. 116, 25.9 launch. These are the things that I'm looking at to try and give you a bit of a myth buster as to what you should play. But out the fairway, there's really no difference. You have to consider what's going to give me more spin. Now, I've hit those two 770s great. I'm being candid and honest with you. I think if we hit more, had a bigger test pool, the MG4 is going to spin more. And I think I'm going to lose a bit of yardage as a result of that, which we've started to lose a bit of yardage here. Remember, 117 at the MC, 116 out of this, hit one short one. Your average is going to be shorter with the mill grind 4. I know it's only 2 or 3 yards. On pitching wedges though, let's be honest with ourselves. If you're subscribed and watching this channel, you're a decent player who cares about your golf game. That's a lot of yardage when it comes to a pitching wedge. So let's hit a couple out the rough. So we're trying to recreate that flyer lie. Always difficult to do. Why do we get flyers? You get it because when the club goes down, either something gets caught between the face and the ball, but also this ball is now sitting up. You can see the roots of the grass here a little lower. If I bring in a slightly different CG location, now I can get a little bit of a jumper. So you've got to play for it. But if you've got a scoring wedge like this mill grind 4, and we're off a little bit of a down bank here as well, but if you've got a scoring wedge like the mill grind 4, it might be less inclined. So I'd probably base it on, are you getting jumpers? Jumpers come because you're a little steep, because you're a little quick as well. Like I feel like I'm hitting it pretty good today, so that shouldn't be an issue. Maybe not the best test pilot for this today. Who'd have thought that? I'm hitting it good, so I'm not the best test pilot. So you can tell there that was backed up a bit, ball shot out right. Remember I said about lie angle? Now it launches higher, 29.4, increase in distance, 119, drop in spin, 7.2. What a great example of what rough can do to a golf club. So that's quite an increase, and that's a big drop in spin. Remember with the mill grind 4 and the raw face, it's going to get rid of any of that dew that you get in the moisture in the grass in the mornings. Those grooves are designed to disperse that. So now you've got an advantage for that, because I reckon these other ones could jump up a little more. We'll go with the MC next and try and turn on this one a bit more. Obviously we've got the breeze here. So that was pulled. So that will go a mile. 20.9, shot out good on the launch angle. 8,000 spin, see how that's dropping, and then the number 124, so a big jumper. So we didn't see as much increase on the Milgrind 4, but remember again, couple of things to be fair to these golf clubs. Down bank, ball coming out hot, and that was a pull. I'm going to give us one more. If you're doing this test, clean the face. So it shows you, because the spin drops, you do pick up yardage out of the rough. Another pull, probably be similar results. I would think 20.7 launch, 123, very similar results. I mean, these have gone, that's gone 123, 119 out the Milgrind 4. I might hit another one at the end. But you get what I'm saying. This will probably increase a little too. Let's see. But now, larger sole doesn't cut through as easy. It was more like the first Milgrind 4 shot. It's gone further. You can see it bounding on. Yeah, 121. So the increase in the 2 just isn't as great. Only 121 out the 770 though, so it's only increased as much as the MC. I'll hit one more with this just to give us a complete test. Back to the Milgrind 4. Almost identical. That's that lie angle, you can see it drifting out. 25.6 on the launch angle. 117. I mean, I'd have to step on this to get as much of an increase, and only came out with 6,000 spin. So I think that's a pretty conclusive test that you're going to get flyers with a lot of golf clubs. I think because the spin rate increases on a normal shot, which it should do for the hole, but remember those 770s I hit were hit very good. I might do more of a test in that full shot fairway area, but you're just not going to get the distance out of the Milgrind 4 that you are out of the others. So if you do go down this route and put it in, test with the same golf ball. But on the same note, there's a lot to be said for a set wedge, because you're going to have the 9, then you can marry this in. They don't jump as much as you think. You've got to control that. You've got to control that with any club that you use when you get on a downhill rough lie like this. If you're concerned about your yardages, I'd say go for it, but you may well just want to keep an eye on how far it goes. And remember, if you strengthen it by a degree, you also drop some spin whilst you pick up yardage. So it's not necessarily the answer that you go bending the loft off to create the gap. I'd look to weaken your actual 9 iron, put in this, and then weaken your set. So there's a bit of work to be done if you want to go there. But that is not something I'd write off. It's definitely done by some of the best players in the world. But on the same note, some of the best players in the world also use the set wedge. So this is one you're going to have to, as always, be the CEO of your own golf bag and make some of those big boy or big girl executive decisions.